Dusty Lee Stephensen from Wanderers. Welcome to Australian Musician.
Hey, how are you?
Good, mate.
I think I've actually asked you that question 3 times before the interview started. Sorry, I'm just like, it's good. This is my first human contact for the day. I'm getting with it.
Practice makes perfect, eh? So tell me how you and fellow Wanderer Matt Birkin first came together to make music.
Well, we met at a venue called the Grace Emily here in Adelaide, which is a bit of a, I guess you could say, a bit of a legendary venue for musos, and a great meeting place as well. And it was actually on a night that's designed for that, a jam night called Billy Bob's Barbecue Jam. That's been a thing here for a long time. I think it's been going for 15 years, maybe, possibly even more. I heard rumors of the 20th anniversary at some point. I'm not sure, but anyway, I was in the house band for that. And yeah, I know that me and the bass player for the other bass player in the house band, Benny, we were starting to jam some of my songs. I think one night we're like, let's get up and play one of my songs, and who should play drums? And remember that Matt had been going there to jam with another artist for a couple of weeks, and he just, this quiet dude would show up and then get on stage and just plow his way through, just wicked groove and backbeat. And we're like, we're gonna play with that guy. So we got him up and just jammed through a couple of my songs that he'd never heard. And it was great. It felt really good. And that was like, okay, this is a band, let's do that. And we just decided to record the songs that we'd been jamming there on Monday nights, and just kind of casually just go, oh, well, let's just put them down, let's make a record. Also, Matt had a studio at his house too, and all these little surprises with Matt. You're starting to get to know him. It's like, oh, cool, he's a great drummer. Oh, he's a great producer. Oh, he's got his own studio, and it's all this sort of stuff is just kind of just got better and better. So so we made music like that for a while as a trio, and then the lineup changed, and then it's really as much as it's me and Matt in the photos, it's really like me, Matt, Logan, Milosh, Jack, which 2 keyboardists and the bass player as well. Like, that's really the solid form of the band, as it tours and as we record and all that sort of stuff. So it's just as much collaborative with the other guys, but it's definitely been me and Matt from day one.
And what's the Adelaide music scene been like for you? Has there been a bit of a community vibe? Has it been supportive?
Yeah, and especially through times like this. I mean, but yeah, I've always found it to be. I think we cop some flack here and there on the East Coast from time to time, little old Adelaide. But I don't know. I think that everyone's real supportive here and everyone's happy. Like, there probably isn't. I guess all the big opportunities that come through, there probably might be a few people that you'd assume would be fighting for them, but it's more like everyone's just stoked when someone gets on that lineup or gets that grant or gets that opportunity to tour or does that thing. Everyone's just happy, and everyone's kicking goals and patting each other on the back, and it's good.
Yeah. So where did this appreciation of 70s soul pop come from? Was it your parents' record collection?
I think it was a natural progression for me. I mean, my dad, like, I grew up on Status Quo and Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin and Jimi Hendrix, the classics. So I was like really like a rock dude. I mean, my first, I think I got Deep Purple in rock, and I was like listening to that CD over and over again, trying to learn Richie Blackmore's guitar licks, and so that was my world. And Status Quo, the shuffle, that the 1/5 shuffle thing they do. That was like the first thing I ever played on guitar, and Peter Gunn, of course. But so that was my dad's kind of what he really loves: meat and potatoes. He loves a good shuffle. He loves blues. He loves all that sort of stuff. And my mum loves she really loves beautiful music, like Eva Cassidy and Nora Jones, and so stuff that's a bit jazzy but also quite just classic sounding, and my mum was a singer as well, so she was in the sort of cabaret world. And my dad was a bit of a bass player but a bit of a hack, so kind of was more of a fan of music. Sorry Dad, but I honestly reckon my dad actually probably could be really damn good at it if he wanted to give it a bit more of a go. But no, so they loved it for sure. Always music around. So in regards to how I ended up at that kind of soul, like, I guess you could even call it yacht rock, that kind of 70s West Coast sound, I think that's kind of, as I delve deeper into music and I start to associate with or play with jazz musicians and other different people, like, the palette expands. And for me, ending up there is a natural progression because it's got everything in it. I mean, it's got blues, it's got it's got the soul, it's got jazz. Like it's a way that it piques my interest, but it also still makes it something very listenable. And I mean, I love a good groove, so it's like you can groove and you can make things interesting. There's no kind of parameters that are confining you to do a particular like pop arrangement, like, you know, those Doobie Brothers songs or Steely Dan or whatever. Like they kind of, they all sorts of twists and turns, but they still keep it in a realm that can be played on radio. It can be put on a record at a party. You know, you can still listen to Reeling in the Years, and it's going to go off everywhere. So I don't know. I just kind of love it. No, I ended up there as a natural progression of just where my interest in music was going, and where my playing ability was going, and where my ears were going. And for me, it's the most like fulfilling genre that kind of encapsulates all the different styles that I've grown up loving or learning, and all the little twists and turns that I've taken in terms of my interest in music.
Dusty, you've had 2 previous EPs and lots of singles. The new EP is self-titled. Why is it self-titled?
Well, simply because we couldn't think of a name. Honestly, I mean, the whole process of making it was quite overcomplicated by the whole pandemic, and any name that we could kind of give it, like anything that would describe the years in which we made this record, is kind of pessimistic and negative. You know, anything I could sort of come up with, I guess I was trying to think of words that are kind of like something that would summarize the process of, you know, we made it through, and, you know, and I think it was just more like, there's no words to describe the kind of like the summary. There's no words to kind of summarize the process that we went through to make this record. And there was no key moments through any of the songs that kind of in one word that sort of encapsulate the whole thing. So I don't know. I really tried, man. For months, I was like trying to come up with a name for the record. Like, what is this record called? Like, what can we, you know? I guess I always feel like the title of a record has to kind of summarize something about the collective of the music, and there was just nothing there. So I hate it, but, you know, I mean, I don't hate it. I think it's fine. I think it's there's room for every artist to have their self-titled record at some point in their career, and I guess this is ours. Yeah. And the next one I'm going to find a name for.
The production on this.
I wish I had a cooler answer.
That's a good answer. The production on this EP is very different to your 2016 EP, Goddamn Anything. Do you think you finally found the sound that you've been chasing? Is this where you want to be sonically?
Yeah, I think so. I think this is where the band fits best. And I think, like me as a songwriter, I can write stuff like that. I mean, at that time, we were listening to a lot more. We thought we kind of wanted to be more down that Crosby, Stills and Nash kind of route. You know, lots of harmonies and acoustic guitars and different tunings and other things like that. And I still love that sort of stuff. And I do still write songs in that realm from time to time. And I think just as the band evolved and we got more solid with our lineup and our instrumentation, and we started adding 2 keyboards instead of 1, and experimenting with different analog synthesizers and things like that, it just became this sound is what we arrived at. It makes the most sense for the personalities that are in the band, and for like what we love to do, which is like lock into a good groove and have little interesting moments where everyone, I think generally in each song there's a moment where someone has a little counter melody or something that really pokes out that's theirs. And the sound that we've arrived at now really allows us to do all of that. And it's less about me writing a song at home and completing the whole idea of the arrangement. And even, I mean, for that record, Goddamn Anything, there was even a lot of instances where I'd written the drums and the bass parts and everything. So it was kind of me writing a song and telling them what to do. And the way we do it now is a bit more like I would probably write half of a song, you know, like the skeleton of it, and never write the bridge. We do that together. And so that's why it ends up this way, because it's of who it is, you know. Yeah. So I think that sound we've arrived at is actually probably less calculated than one might think, but it's more natural. So yeah, but it's been a process for sure. You can hear it. I was describing this recently for an interview where they were trying to summarize the body of work, and it's from the first EP, then the second one, Something for a Distraction. You start to saw more elements of the grooves that we're tapping into, and some more keyboards are introduced, and it sounds a bit less songwritery. And then we go to the third record, and it's where it's at now. So I think there's a process of it becoming what it is, and I do think we've landed at it now. So at least the next record or 2 will probably stick with the sound, and then I don't know, maybe we'll do some European goth metal or something after that. We'll see how we go.
Why not? Molly is the new single. Tell me about that song, how it came together.
I actually don't remember how musically it came together. That's the oldest track that from when we recorded it for this record. We actually wrote and recorded that song, like the beds for it, when we did our single Off My Back, which was like 4 years ago. And so I don't know, we've just been playing that song forever. It just feels like it's part of the fabric of the band, Molly. But then lyrically, it's I had a gig in Adelaide till midnight on New Year's Eve, and then I had a gig in Lorne at midday on New Year's Day, and I'm a yes man. I hadn't cancelled either of them to make it make sense. So I had a hire car. I had to finish my 12 a.m. gig, drive and beeline straight to Lorne, which was a 9.5 hour drive. So not much room for stopping because I got to get there and then play at Lorne Falls Festival. And I basically got there, pulled in, got out of the car, got straight on the stage, performed. So I drove straight overnight, didn't sleep, no doze right through. And then I woke up and then after that gig, I then had a little sleep in a tent. And then I woke up at the best festival in the country and it was incredible, but I was completely exhausted. So, drinking in the sun and carrying on. And I guess I kind of lost my marbles that day. All I remember is that at some point the Fleet Foxes were all standing there having some like pre-show conversation, and I just kind of inserted myself in, like that person who walks in and starts laughing at a joke that they don't even know what it is, and I just remember that they all looked at me like, who the hell is this guy? And I'm like, oh god damn, I'm that loose guy who's on his own, like kind of stumbling around. And so upon like ruminating on that later, I kind of thought, what if I like met the woman of my dreams in that frame of mind right before, when I could tell that time is running out and I'm losing control. So it's kind of a failed love story in that this Molly character and his time's running out. And I guess it's kind of about that. I always like to put a bit of a cheesy love story in there somewhere. So rather than just being hopelessly drunk, it's like, what if you were hopelessly drunk and falling in love and couldn't do anything about it because you just ruined everything? So I guess that's loosely the concept of that one. Yeah.
Nothing in This World is another track. It's got a great falsetto vocal. When did you get into singing falsetto vocal parts? Are you into the Bee Gees?
I don't like. Oh, it's not that I don't like the Bee Gees. How Deep Is Your Love, I think, is one of the greatest songs ever. But I don't particularly listen to them. I actually learned falsetto from singing along with Jeff Buckley songs and Radiohead and stuff. That was when I really learned how to get that pretty sort of falsetto. I really love it. And then there's bands like Jungle and I know that there's a whole bunch of bands or even like Empire of the Sun, where like the choruses will be predominantly a head voice, but really doubled and tripled, made to be real thick. And I do like that sound. I've always wanted to do a track that has that in it. And often in Wanderers tracks, I have a chorus line and then I do an octave above where I double or triple my voice in a head voice. And I did that, but then in this case, we actually deleted the bottom line and we just left the top one. So it was never intended to just be a falsetto chorus. That was intended to support the main line that was underneath. But yeah, we at some point when we were rearranging it and producing it, because we went back and forth with that song for about 2 years to try and get it right. And yeah, at some point I just went, how about we just delete the low one? It sounds weird, and just make it the top one. And yeah, which was great at the time, but now I have to sing that live all the time. And I tell you what, when it does a key change and that last chorus is a whole nother minor third up, and it gets so high, and it's like all three of us just trying to hit those notes every night. So it's actually it's a point in the set where we all kind of look at each other. I go, all right, guys, here it is. Let's go.
Let's talk about some of the gear that you used on the EP. What's your main stage guitar and recording guitar?
It's changed. This is my new one. I think I'm using as my number one guitar for Wanderers now. This is a custom shop Closet Relic 57 Strat. Beautiful. and it's got this like nice soft V-neck, and it just the pickups really pop. It's got that real like Nile Rodgers-y kind of, you can really cut through. And my other Strat is like more a 63 sort of spec, which is a Sunburst one that I'm normally using. Anyone who might see photos of me playing with Wanderers, I'm usually playing that one. But that one's a little bit more like that mid. It's a bit more rocky. It's got a bit more hair on it, which is great. But I think for this record, a lot of the sounds are a bit cleaner, and I want the guitar to be sort of cutting through a bit more. And this one just has this sort of shine that's that I haven't heard on any other guitar. It's pretty unreal, actually.
Yeah.
So that's the two Strats. At some point, for a while there, I was playing like Tellys, and I've got a Les Paul, and I've got this nice old 330 that I was playing sometimes as well, and just going back and forth between all these. But I'd always end up back at the Strat, and I don't know why. I was just kind of going. I was like denying in my own head that it's a Strat band or something. It took me a long time, and then probably like a year and a half or two ago, I went, it's a Strat band. Just play the Strat just all night. So now it's just two Strats. And I also have a Gretsch Duo Jet on stage for when I feel like playing something with a Bixby. But that's it. It really is a Strat band, and I've accepted that.
And the keyboards on stage, when you're playing live, are they analog keyboards or MIDI?
In our live setup, we use so our keyboardist Jack Stremple, he will use a Hammond, like a modern one, GKX or something. I don't know what. Don't quote me on that. Or SX. I don't know. Anyway, he's got the Hammond going, so he does all these nice organ sounds. He's really good with his organ swells and the volume things like that. The real dynamic sort of Hammond organ playing. He's a wizard with that stuff. And he's got that and his Prophet synth. So that's an analog synthesizer, which has been used on many records for a long time, but obviously it's the modern version of it. And then on the other side, Logan, he's got his Nord, which is usually set to play Rhodes or Whirly sounds pretty much all night. And then he plays a Juno synth. I think it's a 106, which is a vintage synth again. So, we use that one probably the most. So I think that one often comes in the choruses and plays the chords at the same time as the other pianos. And it kind of comes in with this nice attack, and it's got all those synthy fizz things going on. And that Prophet synth on the other side will be used for the more weirder sounds, a little bit more when these little things that sort of happen behind. And Jack's really good at coloring and texturizing in that way. So yeah, that's why we do it that way.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we've got some CP70 sounds as well.
You've got South by Southwest happening in March, which I assume looks like going ahead.
Hopefully, yeah.
At
this point, every week that goes by, it looks like we're getting closer to actually going there. And I think now we've got our flights booked. It seemed definitely like a month ago, it would have been a bit more like, I don't know, we'll see how the world goes. But it's definitely looking more and more likely that we're actually going to have our feet on the ground over there. So yeah.
How many gigs are planned, and what kind of goals have you set yourself for South by Southwest?
Yeah, well, I think there's still, I don't know if this is how it goes every year, but we still don't actually have our like itinerary or bookings or whatever. So we don't know. Probably 2 or 3 shows for South by. And in terms of what our plans are, I guess the plan is to just go over there and just be on the money at every moment, just be ready. And that's like when you're hanging out, when you're meeting people, whatever you're doing, just be switched on, and just give kick-ass performances. I'm really happy that we're taking the 5-piece band, because that seemed logistically horrifying to achieve, and we've pulled it off. And I'm happy about that, because that gives us the best chance to do like our thing, to have all our sounds and do our show with our people. And we get to show what the band really is, not just like a subsidized version,
Yeah. So what's the grand plan for Wanderers?
Well, I think definitely at the moment our focus is stateside. I mean, they're playing Molly and other tracks off the record and various radio stations all over the country in the US at the moment. And we were over there right before the pandemic hit, so we've got some good inroads, and people, and they really respond well to our music over there. And I kind of thought that we'd go over there and we'd be regurgitating their music back to them, because to me, there's a lot of it that sounds like that West Coast LA 70s kind of sound. But we'll go over there. A lot of the feedback we were getting was like, they're like, we got nothing like this around here. I'm like, what do you mean? We borrowed this shit from you guys. And but I think because we do it in our Australian way and it's our version of it, they do hear something completely different. And that's cool. It means that we're bringing something to the table over there, which makes me feel good.
Yeah. Well, Dusty, the Wanderers EP is out now. There's some great songs, well played. It's got a great sound, and good luck over there. And thanks for chatting with us.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers. Good on you.